So we're here at Ravensthorpe and we're discussing with landscape ecologist Nathan McQuoid the species that we're selecting for the Gene Stream Songline sculpture for Ravensthorpe, what they might be, and then we'll move on to looking at Google Earth and getting a bit of an idea of the terrain. So you were showing us a book, Nathan, that you'd been referring to.
This is a book by Carol Wilkins and others from the herbarium, various people. Carol Wilkins, Steve Kern, Damien Rathbone and Adrian Markey, about the Ravensthorpe flora. It was done in the mid 2000s, and you'll find that that should be in a herbarium.
Great.
But a lot of the stuff I gave you was from this, as well as some. Now, none of that. There's other parts of the Ravensthorpe Shire that have endemics too, which is Cundip, which aren't in that, and the eastern part of the Fitz.
So we're really just intrigued by this whole Ravensthorpe range story. I think this is, I've got a feeling about it. I got a feeling this is going to be one of the great things that we do. You know, a question that I asked Kingsley at the beginning of this, like, let's talk about, you know, what would you be, if you were to walk into the Gene Stream Songlines sculpture, like, and you're looking around at the artwork, what are the kind of things that you'd be looking to see in there, Nathan? You've given us the list of the 13 thus far families that we'd be looking at, but what else are we looking to create in this artwork, and what messages are we looking to bring to bear?
So that it's got a strong, it's got a strong Ravensthorpe identity, and that would connect the plant diversity to the place's geological and weathering or soil diversity, and the fact that its climate has been what it is for quite a long time. It's very stable, even though it's complex geologies. And it would reflect how some of those endemics are very, very localized. There's an acacia at Cundip that's known from an area the size of a couple of houses. That's it. It's been searched for extensively, never found anywhere else. And Melaleuca sophoma, again, the same. It's a rhomboid about this 1.9 by 2.9 kilometers. That's it. Really common in there, but that's it. So that sort of that localized nature of the flora. The other thing it would depict is that the current community. Oh, and the Aboriginal history is very. That's. I think it's important that's because it was a rich area for Aboriginal people because of the rivers, the food, and all the sediments that came with their ability, their requirements. But the current community there is as diverse as the flora, and that's what makes it an astonishing community of people.
All right.
Whether that's a thing or not, it's a bit of a contemporary ephemeral thing, but another thing is that it's got very good mineralization. A lot of that is not in really commercial quantities, like gold, for instance, and other things. I mean, it gets talked up a lot, and it's there, but there never seems to be huge amounts of it. So there's never big mining operations that go on after gold. The nickel operation is a laterite nickel, so it's getting nickel out of gravel, basically. And the spodumene, the Galaxy mine, is mining spodumene, but it's lithium out of spodumene. And while that's successful, all these other things, I tend to think it's all there in non-commercial amounts.
Yeah, so it's not worth destroying the environment for non.
I think the question needs to be asked. Yeah, but very often. Oh, so I'm drifting away from the question. Sorry.
No, it's quite right. The question does need to be asked. Could you tell us a little bit about Overshot Hill Nature Reserve? We haven't touched on that yet.
That's astonishing. I mean, it's worth a look. It's a beautiful nature reserve full of these awesome mallet woodlands on these gravels, and it's a miracle it became a nature reserve because I would have thought it was mineralized, and therefore, anyway, it's great that it's a nature reserve. It's typical Ravensthorpe range breakaway sort of country, like laterized bedrock. It's got these lovely hills and valleys and so on in it, and it's what's the word? It typifies the bush around Ravensthorpe very well, including the stuff on the mineralised country.
Okay, right. So Marley, what other
Another, just one more thing. Anywhere else in the world, that would all be national park. Would have been for years and years, but it's not.
We keep hearing the same thing from the different people that we talk to.
Yeah.
So the message has to be like sort of a question: why isn't this a national park? It should be, or to talk about the merits of the region in relation to protecting it through a national park.
Yeah, well, it meets all the criteria, but because it's full of minerals, it's not going to happen. But there is a proposal for a conservation reserve, Coconurup and Kundup, and ask Rosemary more about it. She's the full bottle on that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, she believes the range, that long range, should also be protected. They were saying it.
Oh, yeah.
The other day. Yeah. I thought it would be a good idea to include an orchid in that list.
Well, there's that one, Caledonia erecta, which is almost endemic, which is a beautiful spider orchid.
Yes, wonderful.
So, yeah, so that might do. And it's oh, hang on, no, it's not almost endemic. It occurs from north of Perth, but it's rare.
Share screen. So can you see our screen now?
Yep.
We should
be on. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep.
Okay. So to introduce people to where we're working on this particular Gene Stream Songline sculpture, maybe if I zoom in, Nathan, you could just tell us like a little bit about where we are as we kind of zoom in. So Nathan, could you tell us what we're seeing here, and then we'll zoom in on Ravensthorpe, and we'll go into the Ravensthorpe range next. But initially, let's talk about the big picture of what we're looking at.
Now, what you're looking at there is the area between Shanes or the Stirlings, north to the southeastern wheat belt, all the way east to across the agricultural area that goes to the east of Esperance, the whole lot. In fact, north up to Salmon Gum. So you're seeing a very large part of the southeast. In fact, pretty much all of, not quite, the southeast coastal floristic region.
Okay, so
with a bit of wheat belt in it.
We go in further into the biosphere, moving in here a little bit further. Yeah. What makes this part of the planet so special? What's going on?
Well, that part, that's good, because that's Fitzgerald and Esperance. Its geology and its place, the fact that it's in Southwest Australia, the fact that it's on the southern part, the southeast part of the southwest, the fact that it's got a really complicated geology. There's a lot of different geological types in it. And the weathering products of those different geologies have thrown up all sorts of soil types, and that it's a very old landscape. So there's been very little change or soil building. There's just been soil moving around and reworking for a very long time. And the fact that it's got, unusually in the southwest, a number of bumps and hills, not big hills, but the Barrens and the Ravensthorpe Range in it. And sort of drilling down further, great big soil units like the Esperance sandplain goes from right near Hope to that estuary next to Hopetown. Goes in a huge isosceles triangle, elongate out to Israelite Bay, effectively. And that's got a whole bunch of endemics on it that are only found on the Esperance sandplain. You don't get them north or west. And then to the west, from about where it says Fitzgerald River National Park down in the southwest corner there, or that big burn scar, from about there westwards, there's another set of sand units that are, it hasn't got a name, but it's the western sand units of that part of the world. And I've got another group of plants on them that are not found in the eastern unit. And then in the Fitz itself, there's a perched sand unit up there that's dominated by Royal Hakea, which, and it's probably, I'm guessing here, but I suspect it's the outfall of the sand that's come off the Barren system, like a big bench across there.
Right.
And it's on that. I think it's come from that, but it's also found an odd spot out of there that I don't know how they got there. It could have been someone's totem and they moved them around thousands of years ago. Don't know. So there's that, and then Raby Range. What else?
Yeah, and then into the, as you say, the Raby Range.
Raby Range runs south, northwest, southeast. You can see it through there.
So what we're thinking
about,
here we are. The artwork is going to colour kind of this area. We're going to have to, include this terrible mine site because of the diversity that was lost there.
I think it's Bundle Up Hill.
Bundle Up Hill.
Bundle Up Hill is, see the orange scar to the south of your cursor. Now, Bundle Up Hill is stop right there. See where your hand is?
Yep.
Go to the southwest from there.
Southwest.
About there. That's Bundle Up Hill there.
But that's still green.
Well, they had to because they weren't allowed, because it's full of rare stuff. They weren't allowed to take it out,
oh my
including
goodness.
that. See that patch in the middle that's uncleared?
Yeah.
Just above your hand there?
Yeah.
That's where
they managed to stop them from extending even further.
Yeah, well, they couldn't clear that because it had a Kunzia similis all over it.
But they gave
surrounded by the mine.
So all of this was just vegetated.
Yeah.
Rare floristic material.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah.
And it's gone forever. You don't get that back, do you? It takes you, many millions of years to evolve this kind of complexity. That's not the kind of stuff that you guys can just come in and just do a bit of a re-veg job on it, and it'll all come.
What they will do is, put it back, but it'll be gardening. It won't have you, but it's a gardening exercise.
Yeah, the diversity's gone. And it's done, right?
Largely, and the ecological character of it, because it'll be just different in the way it looks and behaves, and it won't be like it was.
Rightio.
Yep.
So we're thinking that what we're basically seeing here, this area, we think is the kind of like the foundation type of the scaffolding for the artwork, the background for the artwork. We saw a fantastic map today of the geological profile of this region, and so we think we're going to use that. But can you tell us a little bit more about what makes the Ravensthorpe range, the range that's running down here, really special and unique? What's some of the things that come to mind when you walk through this region? What are you seeing, and what are the points of difference that you see?
Okay, can you zoom out a smidgen more, please?
How's that?
Just a bit more. That's it. That's good. Okay, so Ravensthorpe range that's ideal. There's a few things. It's the fact that it's a range, but it's of great. So it's an old intrusion into both the Yilgarn block by. So there's that igneous intrusion, but it's sort of a V shape. There's also its collision. There's always what I call metasediments in it. So it's very old sedimentary rocks that are metamorphosed and have got minerals in them. And it's also collided with the Barrens group down near Kundit. So you get these conglomerates in it. So it's shoved into that because when it was underneath huge amounts of earth crust buried in it. As a result, I think of when the Mawson Craton from Antarctica overrode the Yilgarn and squeezed stuff that had been on the surface underneath it. The Barrens are that.
Right.
So there's a collision of those things, but it's also got these beautiful drainages in it. The Phillips River system you can see to the west there, and that's it. And to the east, the Jurta Cut-Up system, you can see it running down, that's it, down the back of the range. So they they bring sediments from the north and alluviums down, such you get salmon gum, certainly on the Phillips system, salmon gum brought down into the area. So there's all these endemics. And then you get the more recent stuff like salmon gum coming in to make these beautiful woodlands at Coconara. Have you been there yet?
No.
No. So that is a must do. So Coconara is west of Ravensthorpe on the, where is it?
Zoom in.
It's down in there. So if you see where your hand is, stop there. Go stop right where the arrow is, stop there. Okay, go southwest and you can see a bit of clearing in the middle of the bush across, straddles the river. Keep going. Keep going. No, stop, go west. Go west from there. Keep going. That's it there. That's the Coconarup area. That's the old Coconarup farm in there. And it's beautiful salmon gum woodland. And they get Rosemary to take you in there. That's where the Carnaby's central nesting is, in there.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Just while I think of that, okay, we must do that. And what else should we be looking for over here? Because we haven't heard really anyone talking about this part of the range yet.
Well, there's the other thing that's very significant over there is there's a bunch of stuff, but in a vegetation sense, there's jam woodlands, or mungat, the Noongars call it. It's a big, very long-lived wattle that was used for fence posts. Still is a bit. And there's beautiful, extensive woodlands of that over on the Phillips River there. But it's critical for Aboriginal Noongar mob that river is full of namas and sites, and it was a big deal for them.
Could you explain what a nama is? I think I have an idea, but not everyone would.
A nama is a hole in rock, usually granite, that holds water, and it's like a natural well.
Yeah.
And they vary in size from little. They can be all sorts. They can be like a slot, like a cylindrical cup, or a slot in a crack, or a pan. Big open, evaporate quickly. And they get used for different things. But the ones that were deep and cylindrical or deep in a crack were those that held water for a long time. And they were of prime importance to Noongar people because they provided water when everything else had dried up. And there's some beauties on the side of the Phillips there. I know of a couple that, well, there's the chain of 3 of them in a row. See where your cursor is?
Yeah.
If you come down the river to past that big bend, go a bit right about there, just north of where that creek joins. About there somewhere, there's some massive namas on the side of the river. That like half a Volkswagen. You could tip the Volkswagen upside down, only its wheels would be sticking out.
Wow.
My goodness.
Yeah, they're big, yeah.
That is epic. And let's talk about the sea level for the past. We've wondered this quite a bit. Mark. So how high did the sea get?
Right. Well, if you move that image, so come south, so we can see a bit further south. Oh, hang on, stop. No, you can see it there. Where your cursor is now, go to the south. You can see like an open scar. That's it there. Go south of that a little bit. Keep going. Actually, you have to go off the map. You drag it up a bit. Oh, right. Now see that first farm you come to on the west side? Right, just north of it, you can see a little rectangular scar. Now come down, right there. Just north of that farm. A little rectangular scar, right there.
Yep.
That's an old spongylite mine. So that's Eocene marine sediments in that far north.
Wow. Okay, so let's show people what we're talking about. So the sea was right up there.
Right up to there, and possibly further. Yeah, that's in the Eocene.
How do you know that the sea is there, and what is the evidence of that? And what I'm looking for is some sort of marine creatures. Was it? because I don't know much about my deep history time frame.
Okay. Yep. So those rocks they're a sedimentary rock that's quite soft, and they are made up of a matrix of sea sponge spicules. So that's why it's called spongolite, and mud and sediments that have washed off the land. So where the shallow tropical ocean was dominated by sea sponges on the seafloor, and the mud and sediments washed off and covered them up in strata. But you can also find seashell fossils throughout it, like bivalves and turban shells and various, as well as in some places leaves that have washed off the land, like Dryandra leaves, Banksia leaves, eucalypt leaves, or things that look like them.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, so that's the evidence. Yeah.
Right.
And I would, at some stage, I'd love a reference to where I might be able to find some of those things, because we'll consider whether they are part of the artwork of somewhere, some stage.
Yeah, so we were just like previously at where we were looking at these 3 sea levels, or as many, of course. But you know, I mean, so we just show people the kind of dynamics in terms of the range that we're talking about, like the sea levels Nathan's pointed up here in the Eocene, and yet 10 to 12 or so thousand years ago, the sea level had dropped like down to here somewhere.
It was right out there. The shoreline was out there. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Up until about, and the estuary formed, it jumped up to where it is now about 7,000 years ago.
Wow. Well, that's
very recent.
Yeah. It's just quite epic. That's incredible.
So that correlates with the Great Barrier Reef creation, doesn't it? 7 to 10,000 years ago.
That would make sense, but I don't know, Marley. No idea. Sorry.
Yes. So let's talk about the artwork now. I think we have one more question that Marley was wondering about. What is going on there?
Can you zoom? If you zoom out, you can see it much better.
Yeah.
Okay, see that great big long line. What is that? And why is it?
What line?
Well, you can't miss it.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the farmer-proof fence.
That's the
farmer-proof fence.
Farmer-proof. That's what I was.
The rabbit-proof fence. The rabbit-proof fence that gets colloquially called the farmer-proof fence, right. Because that's the line between the agricultural areas and the bush. So that's where. It's also where the vermin fence runs down, well, the state barrier fence, but it was. That's what it is. It's where the farms stop and the unallocated crown, the Great Western Woodlands start. Yeah.
So it sort of looks like that, but I was trying to work out why that is it because the land beyond that line is not good for farming, or were farmers, stopped from going any further?
It's where they ran out of political steam.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they clearly had a lot of political steam to get that far.
They had a lot of political steam because see Lake Magenta Nature Reserve there.
All right. Yes.
That was supposed to. The early agreement was that was 10 times as big as that.
And so, what was the story with that, Nathan?
Well, it was Dom Saventi and others from the then museum. Yeah, that one there. So, when they had a look through in the 1950s, working out what conservation reserves needed to be because of all the land clearing, they recommended that to have any to capture as much, to have the nature well represented, that reserve in that area needed to be about 1 million acres, and it ended up being 100,000.
Oh, so Lake Magenta would have how much?
So it would have been, see all that's where it's done rock, and so to the east, yep. Up towards Lake King.
Yep.
That's now reserves, but and a fair bit of unallocated Crown land. But I don't know where the configuration was, but it would have been, so it would have stretched right out. Well, it just would have been 10 times bigger. Anyway, it's not. That's because of the political pressure put on.
Closer to the rabbit-proof fence.
I don't know where if I've never read about where the boundaries were, but I know a nature reserve in that area needed to be 1 million acres to cover, to represent what was there.
What a
Right.
tragedy. That is just one of the
And
great
it's
tragedies.
1/10 of the size.
It's just a terrible, terrible
Yep.
tragedy. So what we'll do, what we're going to be doing over the next few days is with the list that you gave us, we'll go to the vivarium and we'll photograph everything that is in that list. And then potentially at a suitable time to you, we could have another discussion and maybe go through them. We'll have photos and we'll have the collected plants and also with some of our drawings and things. So we're starting to move through this process of all the illustrations that are relatable to the species that you've nominated and the families.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. No problem.
Fantastic.
All
Yeah.
right. And see if you can dig up that lepidosperma paper via Rosemary.
Yep, definitely will.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So is there anything else that we want to cover at this stage? We've gone through quite a lot. I mean, just briefly touching on ockbills, because we haven't done that yet. Ravensthorpe Range is an ockbill, isn't it, Nathan?
Well, a lot of it is, but I see ockbill being shades of grey between yodful and ockbill.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certainly parts of it are very much ockbill, where it's sandier and where it's nutrient poor and sandy soils. And there's yodful in it too, along the Jutacutup River, and the creeks in it, some of the bigger creeks, and certainly the Phillips River. The valleys of that are very much yodful.
We did notice that what we've been sent on the Ravensthorpe Range is always we've been sent vegetation maps of this range itself. Is this the Ravensthorpe Range as well, Nathan?
No, it's not. So Ravensthorpe Range is just the bit that you just pointed to first. So if it goes north of Ravensthorpe, oh, hang on. Why has it got Ravensthorpe up there? That's not where Ravensthorpe is.
That's Google.
That's a problem with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it goes from there. Mount Short's just where you had let's go further north up to that square that sticks out. Mount Short's there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the northern end of the range. And then it runs all the way southeast, paralleling down to about there, south of Cundit, or just near Cundit there.
Okay, so right.
Oh yeah,
down here.
You can see them right
Down to there, yeah. And then it dips underneath. Yeah, down to there.
Dips underneath, around here, right?
Well, that's the greenstone drops out. It's conglomerate and yeah.
Okay. So
talk to Dave Broadbridge about that. He knows all that dipping and stuff. Ask him. Dave Broadbridge, the geologist guy.
Sure. Yes, we did discuss that today. Yeah. Okay. But you would recommend to us that we do include this from some of the points you've raised this evening, including this in the artwork. Probably a good idea. I mean,
I reckon. Yeah.
There, down to there, and then up touching there.
Yes.
That gives us that great shape. Yeah, it's intriguing. It's just it's amazing to land at a place like this. We've only been here for like
2 days.
2 days, that's it. And to meet Kingsley and have these discussions with yourself and Dave and see the herbarium. It's an exciting time. Very exciting.
It's been very thrilling. All the things we've been finding.
Yeah, I no doubt it would. That's pretty astonishing. There's one more thing before we go. I just remembered on geology. If you go down to Cundit, you go eastwards. So that's it right there. Okay, just in that area, and then a bit to the west, that's where there's an outlier of Barron's quartzite there, which has got its own endemics on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that you can include that as another geological unit in your. I'd make sure you picked all the geological types up in your artwork and the flora that associates with them.
Right. Okay. Excellent. That's what we'll do.
Yep, because we've got maps of all those different
We do.
soil types.
Yeah.
We can fit them jigsaw them in together.
Okay.
And Rosemary's well across it. She's a gun, so she should be able to tell you that too.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Okay, good. I will have a pleasant evening, and I'll go and have my tea.
Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you very much, Nathan. It's been wonderful.
My pleasure.